This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carranante.
Welcome to the Yankees Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carranante. Nightmare stretch, 12 games, nastiness, good teams. Good team. What do the Yankees need to show us in order for us to not be upset by their output against the Astros, Blue Jays at home, Tigers at home, Red Sox at Fenway? 6-6, 5-7. Can they survive? 4-8. Are they going to win any of these series? They won in Houston. They won at home against Toronto. They won the first two. They're 4-2. Last time we did a show, they were 1-1. Since then, 3-1. Big win in Houston that we did not see coming. Awful Friday night loss to start this one against the Blue Jays. How will they recover with two really tight, well-pitched, well-played games that they won? Anthony Volpe made a bad error yesterday. So did Austin Wells. They won anyway. Devin Williams came in with a one-run game in the eighth inning. They won anyway. So plenty of warts, things you can point out and say, didn't like that, was worried about that. But the reality of the situation is we're halfway through the gauntlet. The Yankees are 4-2. They have captured 2 series wins. Again, depends on what your expectations were for the start of this and how many goalposts are being moved. But 2 series wins out of the first 2. Not bad to get those out of the way early already. How does it make you feel? You feeling any more confident heading into the Tigers series, heading into Fenway next weekend? No Roman Anthony. Red Sox looking for their identity a little bit. Got bailed out at the end of the finale in Arizona. But, where are the Red Sox at? Where are we at? 2 games behind the Blue Jays. That's where the Yankees are at. So you're not throwing a season's worth of nerves in a trash can because of the way this played out. But I do think they did pretty much everything we asked of them to do in this weekend series specifically. Despite some silent stretches against the Jays bullpen, despite a Friday night game where they got no sleep and did not show up, they shook off 2 bad losses, one at home, one on the road, with some nice performances. I think the finale in Houston was still the most impressed I've been with this team, but they just won 2 playoff-type games over the weekend against the Jays. We got to talk about it, and not upset. You got to be happy. I said something, I tweeted something the other day about I think it was 2 days ago. It was or maybe it was honestly after the Houston series was over. I was you got to be impressed. How hard to have expected more from this first one. And a guy was very profound. And I was not everything's profound. Sometimes you just got to be acknowledging that I thought this was going to go worse. It didn't. Went pretty okay. Something to build on. Thomas Carranante, welcome to the show. How are we feeling?
Feeling good. The Yankees are 4-2 in these first 6 games. They have 6 games left. I asked for 7-5 politely. You predicted 6-6 equally politely, I think.
Polite.
We're exceeding expectations right now. Applause to the Yankees. They won those last 2 games of this series. You look at them. Were they the prettiest? No. Are there some issues that remain that fans are concerned about? Absolutely. But win's a win. Don't really care if there was more malfeasance on the Blue Jays end. You want to know why? Because most of the Red Sox wins that have come against us this year was not the Red Sox being better than us. It was us shitting our pants. And I think that's what the Blue Jays did in this series and on Saturday and Sunday. In all honesty, you watch the entirety of Sunday's game and you're kind of wondering how the Blue Jays didn't win. They had opportunity after opportunity. I think they went something egregious. No, that was Saturday. Sorry. They went 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. And they left 6 runners on base. Yesterday, Max Scherzer had that big pitch tipping issue in the first inning, which allowed the Yankees to jump on top. The Blue Jays had Max Fried on the ropes. Max Fried ducked and dodged and delivered the curveball. So a lot of credit here for a number of Yankees players who were able to deliver. I like the pace that the team is on, and I like the direction that they're in. I think everybody is in the same boat, right? It's you want to see them first win these games, which they've done in the early going. Also want to see a couple more emphatic ones, not where it's just 2 teams underperforming until the end, and we'll see who underperforms less. I think the great example was the series opener against the Astros. You're not going to get a whole lot of those, but It's a very nice 7-1 victory. Few sweats. Defense and offense and pitching came together nicely. I know that's not going to be every night, but I'd like to see that a couple times against the division rivals. Don't feel like we got it in this series, but never going to complain with 2 out of 3 wins at home. It's exactly what you had to do. I didn't think for a second they were going to sweep this. And like you said, the rest stuff from one series to another is becoming a pain in the ass, and it's happening in these crucial sets, and there's not really anything we can do with it. I think most teams are in a similar boat, but man, the Rays situation with the extra innings going into the Red Sox series, and then you have the road series against the Astros, and the finale's a night game, and then you're heading back to the Bronx for a night game the next day. So it's been a lot. I think the team's been persevering well. I want to see them take advantage of this Tigers team who's been struggling, and I think that'll be a really good sign for what's to come.
And it still seems like Tarik Skubal not supposed to appear in the series. Probables got shuffled around a little bit. It's Casey Mize in the opener. It's Jack Flaherty, and then it's a TBD, but the Tigers insist that's not going to be Skubal. We will see. He's on the right amount of rest to appear in that game, but not the way the rotation lines up. It wouldn't be, you'd theoretically put another body in there. He just appeared. He pitched 2 days ago, right? So he would fall, rest-wise, but there's an off day for the Tigers. It all gets muddied. We'll see. Maybe he'll appear, maybe he won't. Hopefully he doesn't. But, oh, man, you want to face the best competition, though. Don't you want Skubal in that series? No, I do not. But this one, the worst thing that could have happened to start, right? Cam Schlittler implodes. The offense goes limp. Kevin Gausman puts them to sleep. 8 innings for Gausman. So the Blue Jays have this struggling bullpen. They don't even get into it. And they have a day game the next day. So if the Yankees didn't get their rest in the opener, then they didn't really get any rest between games 1 and 2 either, because they had to get right to the ballpark for an afternoon game on Saturday. So I don't think anyone who was nervous about that is being irrational. It seemed likely that, okay, this bad loss is going to bleed into more, even more likely than the meltdown in Houston, that it would cause a cascading effect, because now you literally have something impacting them physically, not just mentally. Like, the mental reset between games 2 and 3 in Houston is one thing. The physical reset, the sleep that you don't get when you're playing night game, flight, night game, day game the next day could be a disaster. It wasn't. Saturday was great. Shrugged off the rain delay. Cody Bellinger and Wright gunning a guy down to the plate. Bo Bichette, potential tying run, does not tie the game, and the game never gets tied. Yesterday, the most shocking moment of the season to date, and I'm glad it worked out for Aaron Boone. I don't often say, like, oof, just glad Aaron Boone doesn't have to take it today, because you examine it, he really didn't have an alternative yesterday to Devin Williams in the 8th inning. Technically, he did. And if Devin Williams had blown that game, we would have raged, and I've raged in the past about how anyone would be preferable to Devin Williams. We don't care if Mark Leiter Jr. or Ian Hamilton blows a game, or Ian Hamilton's gone, but back in the day when we were having that rant, or Tim Hill blows a game. Like, we don't care. The game would have been blown with Williams. The game is blown with somebody else. At least you didn't go back to the well and bring in the guy who continues to blow games. Yeah. But yesterday, they do not like pitchers, relievers going 3 out of 4. Like, that's not their favorite thing. And they definitely prevent those relievers from going 4 out of 5. Now, it makes the bullpen management even more confusing on Saturday when they gave everybody split inning duty and they let Luke Weaver face 3 guys and throw 12 pitches. It made you think, okay, I guess they're saving at least Luke Weaver for Sunday. And then apparently they weren't, because they're not going to break that rule of no 4 and 5. But yeah, Weaver had gone 3 and 4. Cruz had gone 3 and 4. Bednar was available for the 9th, but neither of the other 2 dudes who you trust were. So it was basically down to Leiter Jr. or Devin Williams or Camilo Doval. And I think all 3 of those guys have an argument for being extremely disappointing choices in that scenario. Don't really want to see any of them. If I saw Williams warming up, not come in, and then Mark Leiter Jr. come in for Vlad Jr. and the heart of the order, I would also be annoyed by that. So I think, look, if you put a gun to my head, my choice is not Devin Williams. I would have chosen Mark Leiter Jr. I don't know if I would have been happy with it. But Aaron Boone was. Usually he's not low on options. This time he actually was. None of them were satisfactory, and he would have gotten punched repeatedly in the gut by the media and the fan base if this had not worked out. People who don't want to hear about his lack of options, people who do not want to think about no bullpen guys going 4 games in 5 days. Like, nobody wants to hear it. He would have been pilloried, and this is a decision that I actually think it wouldn't have been mine. I think this is the most reasonable usage of Devin Williams in a 1-run game ever. It just sucked. It sucked that it was Vlad and Kirk and all those, and pinch hitter Addison Barger and all the scariest guys in the world. And then Vlad Jr., who pretty much comes through every opportunity he has against the New York Yankees, had the tying run on second against the statistical worst reliever in Major League Baseball with 60 innings pitched this year, 50 innings pitched. Then he goes down on a 3-2 changeup. He changes the inning. And Alejandro Kirk was the LVP yesterday. He had 2 dribbling grounders to third in clutch scenarios, one for a double play and one right there to help Devin Williams out significantly. And he gets out of the inning on another little grounder from Ty France. So stunning, jaw on floor. I'm actually glad Aaron Boone got this little win in his pocket, though, because he actually did have his hands tied there, and he came out alive.
Look, that's what the Blue Jays get to for the shit that they were trying to pull on Saturday. Don't think we didn't see what you were trying to do. They were trying to delay the game for another. They were. I don't know if you guys were paying close enough attention. Paul O'Neill was getting pissed on the broadcast because there was another storm coming in, and the Blue Jays had maximized their mound visits in the bottom of the 8th, and then in the top of the 9th kept stepping out of the box. Kirk hit a ball into the ground, into his head like an idiot, and that delayed the game even more. Schneider was being usual asshole. You could see it from his mannerisms in the dugout. So it was evident they were trying to get the game delayed because they were down, and they knew that another rain delay would not affect them. It would only hurt the Yankees.
MLB would never have done the pull the plug on it.
Never. Oh, never. No. They would have resumed that game at 1 a.m.
Yep.
With a storm 4 minutes away. We know exactly how that would have went down, and I think the Blue Jays knew that because they're in the Yankees division. They have to have their finger on the pulse and in terms of how these situations go for them. Just saying, don't think we didn't see that because I was very attentive there. It was ridiculous. I don't know how the umpire didn't step in and say stop. I think he told them that no more mountain visits after that last one in the 8th, but whoever the reliever was in the 8th, I forgot. I actually have the box score up here. He kept taking the pitch clock down to the final second. Yariel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Taking the pitch clock down to the final second. So fuck you guys. That's number one. Number two is the Yankees, in terms of their bullpen, are in a tough spot. Why? It's because they don't have enough clutch options who can truly get out of trouble without there being much of an issue.
Yeah. It's those 3 dudes. It's the 3 guys who were in the Saturday game. It's the entire trust tree right now appeared in Saturday's win.
Yeah. And look, I love Luke Weaver. I'm losing trust in him by the day. He looks shakier and shakier as the weeks go by. I know he kind of got hosed in that Houston series, but kind of uncharacteristic of him to not bounce back and give up the hit to Alvarez, which ties the game. So look, I don't know. I'm not saying I don't trust him at all. I don't like the fact that he's he's the 7th inning guy at this point. I don't know why Aaron Boone has designated him for that role, but it's evident that's the direction he's going. I would just rather you have so many other guys who could fill that. And it's not I don't know. I feel like Weaver thrives in I guess 7th inning can be high leverage depending upon who's up and what the score is and the stakes in the game. But he's someone who just thrives later. Even if you're going to give him the 8th, I know it's only 1 inning later, but I think that kind of changes the stakes for him, and it could push him into a situation where maybe he feels more comfortable. Literally, I don't know, but you have a fleet of guys who are, hey, flip a coin, 6th, 7th inning, and Luke Weaver's designated for that role. I don't know. I don't really understand it. But in terms of Aaron Boone's inherent struggles with this bullpen, it's one, he's not the greatest bullpen manager. I'm not really sure what manager out there is. This is another topic of conversation I feel like we have every month where it's hey, yeah, you could be better at managing the bullpen, but what's your model? Who's your model bullpen manager, fans? I'll talk about it, but I don't know if there's anybody out there who's yeah, this guy's nails. He always makes the right decision. The variables in baseball are just far too much. I would say Aaron Boone needs to lean on his gut a little bit more, and I think that would do the Yankees good instead of following either whatever script or whatever, platoon stats there might be. Sometimes you just got to go, this guy can get me outs. I want him in. I don't care about lefty righty. I don't care about pitch mix, whatever, just do it. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, the bullpen is arguably the shakiest part of the roster at the moment. And it's been for a while. It's been since the trade deadline. The Yankees got names to come in here, and it's a little bit more of a, look, it's better than having Yerry De Los Santos and Ian Hamilton and so on and so forth. All the guys that Scott Efros, all the guys who have come and gone, but it's still not where it needs to be. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Still a problem for the postseason. And look, the reality is that you're going to be stuck using Devin Williams in tight situations. It's just the nature of how this goes. You don't want him in there for 3 high leverage situations a week. But at this point, with how everyone needs to be used and how many close games they're playing and how many tough opponents they have, Devin Williams is going to have to come in with a 1-run lead in the 8th or the 9th at times. There is no way around it. It would be nicer if Camilo Doval kind of wasn't a bust. And I know he showed pockets of improvement, but still, I think the jury's out. He needs a much more longer track record in order for fans to be more confident in him. David Bednar is the only acceptable closing option right now. Fernando Cruz has been good, but I think the injuries are it's always in the back of your mind, and he's had to work himself back multiple times now, which isn't great. And then, like I said, Luke Weaver maybe being misutilized and that creating a problem. But yeah, Aaron Boone didn't really have a choice yesterday, and I'm not. You're right. I probably wouldn't have gone there, but at the same time, there's the 2 schools of thought, right? Where it's get this guy at a fucking high leverage. I'm sick of seeing it. And 2, no, this guy's a closer. He was the best closer for 4 years. Handle the high leverage, man. We're not asking you to do it 4 days a week, but just do it this one time. And he did it. So I'm glad. Hopefully that helps his confidence. But yeah, Yankees hands are tied with this bullpen. And I think that's probably the bigger topic of conversation.
Yeah, and I think we do get tied up in this was a huge game. I can't believe you're using Devin Williams in the biggest game of the season. So honestly, it gave them a chance to win the East. But once you lost the opener and you couldn't sweep anymore, their chances of winning the AL East are still pretty minimal. So sorry if that offends, but
you think they're minimal?
They're 2 back with 19 to play, and they have it depends on what minimal is. They have a chance. They have much more of a chance than if they'd gone 4 back yesterday. But it wasn't the difference between, division tied or Yankees 1 up with 3 to play. Or, there's still a lot of calendar that's left to unravel. There's still a road series at Fenway. There's still, plenty of the Blue Jays play the Red Sox at some point. So somebody's going to be gaining on you and somebody's going to be losing ground to you every day in that series. You're not going to get what you want. There are no more opportunities for the whole AL East to lose. So yeah, I think it set them up nicely, right? It didn't end their journey in trying to capture the AL East, but it wasn't it was the thing that kept them alive, but it wasn't a win that secured a division or put them in the driver's seat. So yeah, it's a big game, but it's a big game with a dead bullpen. And if there's ever going to, like you said, there's ever going to be a game down the stretch where Devin Williams just has to, you are an elite closer. You came here as the best closer in baseball. We're going to give you a high leverage inning. I know you probably don't want it. I know the fans probably don't want to see you in it, but we have to do it today. I'm glad it was not a game where they're trying to stave off a sweep. I'm glad it wasn't a game where it was disaster or joy. I'm glad that they didn't try it for the first time in game 2 of a wild card series. So there are some positives to the way, but I understand any fan who is upset by that viscerally, because it may have been the right move for Boone in that situation. It may have been one of the few moves he had at his disposal, but I can't tell a fan you should be overjoyed when Devin Williams gets into a run game, or you should feel secure when Devin Williams comes into a 1-run game. No, I understand why you feel terrible, and I understand why you're angry, and I understand why you don't think it's going to work. That said, yesterday they got stuck, and it was really the only option available to them, unless you'd rather have Mark Leiter Jr. or Camilo Doval in there.
Not Camilo Doval. He's the one I trust the least, believe it or not.
It's crazy, but true.
I want to know why Devin Williams keeps yanking pitches. Does anybody know the answer to that?
First pitch of the outing was not great.
I just don't understand. Is he holding on to the ball too long? Is the ball too slippery? Is he nervous? Is his that has been an issue since literally April. And it's one of those things where it hasn't gotten better. It hasn't really gotten worse, but it hasn't gotten better. And you're wondering why there hasn't been an effort taken. Like, you watch the Yankees watching film. The first thing you see on some of these is him completely missing the catcher, ball going straight to the backstop, or either moving a runner over with a bad pitch or making the catcher have to dive like left and right. So that's my rhetorical question of the day, or I need somebody to answer that for me. I don't know why this is still the reality.
I don't understand why what I was told, the airbender just doesn't work anymore. People said, people just figured it out. Why couldn't Vlad Jr. figure it out? He's pretty good. I looked, Devin Williams. Shout out to you. Shout out to Devin Williams for getting out of the extra innings against the Padres earlier this year in May, too. That said, I'm not going to get distracted here and congratulate all-star closer Devin Williams on doing his job like 3 or 4 times this year. Like, don't get that twisted. Like, hey, actually really good from Devin. I think he's redeemed himself. No, not redeemed. Never redeemed. When he's not here, it'll be great. But they win a huge game in part because of him. And again, I will give the MVP of yesterday's game to Ben Rice, the guy who slugged the 3-run home run, the guy who was the beneficiary of the Yankees swiping some signs. I'll give the MVP to Max Fried over Devin Williams. I like David Bednar's clean save. I like Austin Wells gunning the runner out at second. But yeah, Devin Williams deserves mention. He's part of the MVP race here. Luis Heel, I think, deserves praise for this series. So does Max Fried. Did exactly what they had to do. The turning point of yesterday's game, and I guess the turning point of the whole series, the consequence of going up early, watching that lead get erased, some shoddy defense behind Max Fried, but also he did himself no favors. He got bashed around in the second inning when he couldn't have. Second and third, nobody out. Vlad Jr. just doubles in the tying run. It seems inevitable. The score is going to be 4-3 or 5-3 Toronto the next time the Yankees come to the plate. Again, LVP Alejandro Kirk with an easy out to help the Yankees get out of it, or at least set the momentum train rolling in the opposite direction. And as soon as Max Fried somehow turns the game around on its head, gets out of that inning without allowing an extra run, that is when Judge and Bellinger team up to produce the last run. I will only say it once, that from the Bellinger hit forward to the end of the game, the Yankees went hitless. Hitless.
Yep.
Not gutless, but hitless.
I said a little bit concerning, but yeah.
0 offense from that point forward, but they captured the lead. Aaron Judge saves the game again with the dive on George Springer's 2-out liner. And Max Fried settled down, made the pitches he had to make. Looked untouchable in the first, all over the place in the second. Walked Kirk 0-2 to 3-2 walk. But then beyond that, as soon as the game was untied again, when the Yankees took back the 1-run lead, he was excellent. And now I think it's pretty indisputable that he was dealing with whatever the blister was for longer than anybody wanted us to know about. And I think that was obvious to everybody who was watching, but people in the know kept saying, no, it's not feeling it anymore. It's just he just collapsed. He just fell apart. He's lost it. He lost it. Brilliant Cy Young candidate, just forgot how to do the thing that he does so well. No, he's gotten it back now, and he's gotten it back on the road in Houston and at home against Toronto in 2 of the biggest games of the year. So I feel confident saying, I'm not saying Max Fried's going to be perfect every time out from this point forward, but I am pretty confident saying no longer broken and was probably being affected by something. Luis Heel's control bug, still pretty bad. That second inning for Fried, someone he's going to have to get over, but all things considered, really good effort by both of them.
Yeah. Fried, to me, that was, we asked for that a couple of times over the last month because of how bad he's been. And it did look shaky there. You have, second and third, no outs in the third and get out of it. Or the second, whatever it was. And then you managed to look, the Blue Jays had him, in my opinion. All it took was one hit, and then he was probably throwing 4 or 5 innings. If it got a little bit more out of hand, he ends up going 7 with 100 pitches, and limits the work Aaron Boone has to do with the bullpen, like we just talked about. The less decision making that needs to be, like Saturday was crazy with all the split inning duty with Louis. I know Luis Heel delivered, but it was again another laborious outing for him. He's getting there though. Gotten to the pitch through 6 this time. I think that was definitely a promising sign. But this team with the way that they're hitting, look, they went 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position in this series, if I'm not mistaken. 1 for 7. I could be wrong here. 2 for 8. So I'm sorry. They went 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position in this series. So as long as that's going to be the case in a given set or on a given day, the one member of the team that needs to step up is the starting pitcher, because the more length they can get, the more flexibility Aaron Boone will have with the bullpen, the more available guys will be. I thought that the bullpen management on Friday kind of saved the rest of the series. You use Ryan Yarbrough for 5 1/3. Mark Leiter Jr. only goes an inning. Camilo Duvall only goes an inning, so that keeps them in play for Sunday. Yarbrough saving that without having to burn the rest of the bullpen was amazing.
Shout out.
And then it set the stage for what the Yankees were able to do. So I was like, all right, the offense is going to be here in full force. Then whatever, starting pitchers can step up. But yeah, I mean, you look at this, and I don't think you're exactly 8 runs in 3 games against, who'd you face? Kevin Gossman, who went 8 innings. That you can't really let that happen. Chris Bassett went 5, and then they got after Scherzer, and that was a pitch tipping thing. So I'm glad that they caught up on that, but he still managed to strike out 8 batters. And then again, the Yankees didn't really do anything after that 3rd inning when they scored the go-ahead run. So some concerns. I think that it's nothing that we haven't been worrying about already. Like, you had a couple of guys here who just showed up, and that was that. Like, Jazz had a bad series, made that error. Was that called an error yesterday?
In the 8th, no, it was ruled a hit. I mean,
yeah,
Wells made a shoddy error.
That was crazy. Yeah, that Wells calling off Fried and then almost hitting the runner in the back of the head. I was like, what are you doing, man? But he made some great throws to second base, so it's tough. But he not Wells. Jazz went 1 for 4, 0 for 3, 0 for 2. So he went 1 for 9 with, I think it was 4 strikeouts.
And he's coming off the double knee contusions.
Yeah.
Where you're like, all right, so you asked out of the last game in Houston, and you're basically, they showed him in the dugout saying, I'm out. And it's like, all right, then you're clearly in pain. You shouldn't play. And I understand the urge to fight and play through pain. But it's admirable, right? But we know more about these injuries these days than people. You used to be able to play with a torn labrum for a month and a half because nobody would find out. And at the end of the year, you'd be like, I tore my labrum. And then the media, there was no firestorm. There was no Twitter. There was no mob of people tracking down Philly's Karen to try to get her fired and teach her a lesson. Like, this didn't exist. So now you can't do that. We see you in the dugout saying, I'm in pain, I got to leave the game. And we see you leaving the game, and then there's endless questions about Jazz after the game. Then he comes back, and it's like, oh my God, he's back on Friday night at the stadium. And then he has a series where his range seems a little limited on that ground ball that snuck through, and he doesn't get any hits. So we know he's a better player than that. We know he's probably playing through something because we just saw it.
Yeah, and it's all the more confusing too because the Yankees have the flexibility now. Caballero can play second or short or third, and
if Volpe's going to start, then Caballero better play somewhere.
Exactly, because Anthony Volpe, talk about literally someone who showed up. He made one nice defensive play that saved, I think, Fried in the 3rd.
When he's not thinking, he can make a nice quick read and a great throw across the diamond. When he is thinking, the throw that he yanked into the dirt, sitting and waiting, and you're sitting. I was there at yesterday's game, sitting in the stands going, this doesn't look like it's going to go well. And then you see it bounce and you go, Ben Rice doesn't scoop these very well. It's probably going to be yet another one. And it was.
Goes to show you how, like, Paul Goldschmidt saved this kid's ass a lot in the beginning of the year. Ben Rice, am I frustrated with his defense? I mean, I don't know if I have the right to be because he's not really a first baseman, and he's there because they need the bat in the lineup, and like, it is what it is. It's more of a roster.
Your shortstop, sometimes you got to be prepared for scoops. It shouldn't be every throw from shortstop.
It shouldn't be routine plays. Like, if Volpe's running to his right and is making an off-balance throw, fine. These are ground balls he's fielding and then like double clutching and stepping closer toward first base. It's like, dude, just throw the ball. Like, you have the ball in your hand. The runner's not close to first. Throw the ball. Make a regular throw. And Ben Rice, who is not experienced at first base, is getting caught off guard by bad throws on routine plays where why should you be prepared for it? Why should you be prepared to scoop something out of the dirt on something that should be normal? So I think that's part of the problem too. Volpe did make that one nice defensive play, which saved the inning, but funny how they lose Friday night with him not in the lineup, and I'm sure that gave Aaron Boone some sort of like premonition, being like, oh yeah, I gotta keep playing this kid. But 1 for 7 with 4 strikeouts when he plays, unimpressive defense. Mark DeRosa did a full 7-minute segment on MLB Network diagnosing his problems left and right. Very nice about it. Like, I think what's packaged into these criticisms is like, this kid's got a lot of talent. Like, sky's the limit. And they're saying that as like a disclaimer to be like, oh yeah, but like keep that in mind. But also here are 47 problems that are leading to this kid's demise. And it's like, but yeah, so is the potential there, or are we living on the potential from, again, 2021 when he was ripping it at high A and everyone thought he was going to be a top prospect? So it's a national story. It's a national story of how bad he is and how much he sucks out of the Yankees lineup because he's an ineffective offensive player. Again, he's batting 7th. Why is he not 9th? And also, here's another thing that we should probably consider. Does Ryan McMahon need to be in every single day? I mean, at the bottom of the lineup, I know he came on in Houston and we were really excited about that, but this series, 0 for 8, 4 strikeouts. His defense has been great, but again, like, he goes in weird phases of like contributing consistently and then just doing nothing. And then we reason with ourselves and we're like, well, the defense at third base is pretty good. But I think we have to strive for more than that. So again, Caballero should not just exist to back up Anthony Volpe. He should be there to give Jazz Chisholm a rest. He should be there to take McMahon out of the lineup if there's a lefty on the mound. Like, why are we not doing this? Why is there not more creative, constructive ideas with the lineup? That's to me the difference between like being a winning team in the postseason and being a team who's just married to whatever formula that they've had since the beginning of the year. And it's frustrating to watch sometimes.
I do think the Bill Madden tweet is relevant here too, where like, hey, look, Bill Madden is like an 80-year-old man, right? He used to work for the Daily News. He's seen a lot, right? He's no longer he's a guest columnist. He's no longer a regular reporter at the Daily News. But this is someone who has won the Hall of Fame's award for sports rating excellence, the G.G. Taylor Spink Award in 2010. He's very knowledgeable, very well connected as well, has been around baseball and New York baseball forever. He was the one who was the first person to give us a real hint, a news drop that Juan Soto was probably going to the Mets. He said, kudos to Steinbrenner for going outside his comfort zone, but word is that Steve Cohen is now going to $800 million and he won't be matched. And everyone was like, who the fuck is this? And the reality is he is a veteran scribe who, again, is not a beat writer anymore, but is someone who is close with the Steinbrenner family. So when he is writing something about the Steinbrenner's offer to Juan Soto and Steve Cohen's counter, he definitely knows something. He is putting out the damage control that the Yankees did their best and aren't getting their man. So everyone questioned his credentials then, but you have to know when you see a Bill Madden tweet that it is coming from the place and the voice of someone who doesn't talk that much about the Yankees anymore, and who is tight with the Steinbrenners and is on their side. That is someone he is aligned with, that family. So he tweeted yesterday night.
Tweet, bro.
Brian Cashman has done a really good job addressing the issues with the Yankee lineup with his no-pain trades for Chisholm, McMahon, Caballero.
It's true.
It's all going to be for naught if he left out some words, if they continue this self-defeating, stubborn support for Volpe, who is a liability and has to be benched.
Yep.
Now, that's an opinion of someone who's watched baseball for a very long time. Definitely. That is what it is. But it's also the opinion of a man who has the Steinbrenner's ear. He wrote the book Steinbrenner. That's a book he wrote about George. Obviously with George. So, like, what are we doing here? Is this just another fan sharing their frustration with Anthony Volpe? And the fact that the team continues to pretend there's nothing wrong here? Possibly that is all it is. It is someone who's watched a lot of baseball, who doesn't like to be lied to, voicing their frustration.
Yeah.
But it also might be a little something more. And this was the Yankees are lucky this was a good weekend for them because this was a terrible weekend for communication with the media and communication with the fans via the media and the proper amount of respect. The Aaron Judge stuff. Again, this was coming after a Friday night loss that there was controversy. So again, the Yankees are very lucky that they shook it off and played clean for the most part, other than the errors that we just yelled about, baseball over the weekend and took 2 wins home, and the bullpen was able to facilitate these tightrope victories. Because otherwise, you had pretty much every single beat writer calling out the frustration with Aaron Boone's choice of words. And again, another just lie. And I will say, I sympathize with Aaron Boone here because Aaron Judge is the captain. He has made it clear he is not going to, take the rest that he probably needs to heal up. This is something that they're going to have to manage for the rest of the year because another guy who insists on playing hurt, who knows that he's hurting the team if he's stuck at DH, is going to force himself back into the outfield. He's not necessarily bigger than the program, but he holds more sway than any other player. So this is the situation Aaron Boone is going to have to juggle. Should I put the guy with the bad arm in right field who's going to have to manage himself, might lose a run or two because he's not going to uncork throws and he's going to take it easy and take the foot off the gas pedal? Am I going to run out the guy who doesn't have the range out there in Giancarlo Stanton, who can throw to the plate but can't play out there too much because his legs get tired? Am I going to put Cody Bellinger out there and put one of Stanton or Judge on the bench? Or maybe Stanton in left field, not here, not at home, maybe on the road. So you're going to pick the wrong one at some point. Like it's annoying. It's annoying for Aaron Boone, who's already clearly annoyed. He's going to pick the wrong one in one of these games. He picked the wrong one on Friday night when he started Judge, who could not throw and led to runs in the first that should not have existed. But then Cam Schlittler got blasted. The bullpen, Yarbrough held it down. A bunch of other dudes gave up a bunch of runs. The Yankees didn't score. They did not lose that game because of the bad Aaron Judge throw.
No, but they could have yesterday.
And he's lucky that he got the run taken off the board by Judge's superior range on the dive instead of having Judge's bad arm, which was responsible for the Nathan Lucas sac fly run scoring, be the difference. And he was lucky that he played the Cody Bellinger card on Saturday, but and he got to run her down at the plate. But it's an imperfect solution. He's just got to literally at this point cross his fingers that he's right more often than he is wrong. So I do have sympathy there. Like the wrong decision is going to be made a couple times. Hopefully the right decision is made more often. That said, you lied to us. I mean, creative cuts was the excuse for Judge not wanting to uncork a throw, and then said to the writers, and you should not say this to a bunch of writers, if you've been paying attention, we've been working on creative cuts. First of all, the writers pay attention every day. They watch everything. So you're not going to just claim that you've been working on something that they didn't see and get away with that one. That's not going to work out. You tried, but that's not going to work. Two, asking the writers if they're paying attention to Judge's throwing progression is rich, given that Boone got called out by Judge for not having watched him for 2 weeks.
And how many fucking times have they asked him and he doesn't give an answer?
So to say if you've been paying attention, we know that Judge didn't let Boone pay attention. So how are the writers supposed to pay attention to what Judge is doing and progressing on if he didn't even let his manager see? As we know, because that's what Judge said. So they butted heads. And because they butted heads, Aaron Boone decided to butt heads with the writers. And every writer tweeted pretty much the same thing. They tweeted the verbatim quote, and then they said something to the effect of, didn't like when he said, if you've been paying attention, we've certainly tried to pay attention. We like to think we pay attention a lot. To call this a creative cut and something you've been working on and something more than just an obviously compromised Judge. We know you have to deal with this. We know why you have to deal with this, but it's a lie. It's only creativity creativity. A guy going out a little bit further for the cut, not that creative, but it's creativity to account for the injured guy that you played in right field. That's all it is. It's not like you didn't reinvent the wheel here.
I just can't even with this. It's like, it's like a version of money laundering where they pretend like they're doing something. They pretend like they're doing something that nobody else sees, and that, oh yeah, don't worry, we got it all under control. And it's like, you don't, because the writers have been asking you for over a month now hey, how's he feeling? What's the progression? How's the throwing going? Do we have any timeline on when he'll return? And the answer has been, man, I don't know. We'll see sooner than later. Like you said, we had the massive miscommunication where he said we're probably not going to see Judge throw the way that he's accustomed to throwing for the remainder of the year, and then Judge refuting that. So
far, I would agree. I would agree, though.
Fully agree. Fully agree. But to come back and say that is just, it's more crazy Yankee stuff, because look, here's what went down. Friday, you are sitting there waiting for a lineup. The same week, we're asked, when's Aaron Judge going to return? Well, we don't know. We're thinking hopefully soon. Not sure yet, though. Got to see how the throwing program goes. How's the throwing program going? Oh, we're handling it. We'll see. And then, surprise lineup, Aaron Judge is in right field. No one was told that. Just drop the lineup with Aaron Judge in right field. So again, it's the Yankees getting ahead of something because they want to feel like they're on top of the media, or they're getting ahead of the media, but the media is already ahead of them. So anything that they're trying to do to get ahead of the media, they're just backwards and they're looking dumber and dumber. So then Aaron Boone coming back and saying, oh, well, you haven't been paying attention. And it's like, no, you haven't been answering my questions. Or you're not getting the correct information to relay to us for us to tell the people what's going on. So you sit there, and then you have the first inning throw. The first inning throw, Aaron Judge throws it 30 feet into Jazz Chisholm when the runner didn't even reach third base yet, and had the chance to get the runner at the plate. The runner scored, and everyone's wondering what's going on. Aaron Judge's postgame, I'm going to say this, didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Brushing off questions, pretending like everybody was out of their mind for asking why he was playing defense and the throws were abnormal. And he's just doubling down saying, well, I wouldn't be out there if I couldn't throw. And they're like, yeah, well, also you couldn't throw because you didn't throw. I understand on Sunday he uncorked one from the corner to second base a couple of times, but he had another issue where he just threw it right to Jazz at second base, where Jazz was not serving as the cutoff man. Jazz literally just standing there as if like he was about to field a grounder at second base, and Judge is throwing him the ball, and Judge is playing, oh yeah. Oh no, like we'll have the cutoff man make that decision. It's like, no, the ball was not hit in the gap. The ball was not hit rolling around in the corner. We're not talking about a runner coming around from first base to score, and you have to create another lane to get the ball to home plate. We're talking about you fielding a routine line drive ground ball in the outfield and throwing the ball home on one hop, which is what you do in your sleep. So the Yankees have once again put themselves in this situation, and then again gaslighting everybody into believe, oh, what are you talking about? You didn't see Aaron Judge's throwing progression? Oh, I mean, we have been keeping up with it, but again, the information, we don't. Judge just says he feels good every day. You're claiming he feels good, but then again, you have zero timeline when he'll return, and then the timeline is just, oh, it's actually today. We just decided now is the timeline that he's going to return. So none of it adds up. Once again, they're being secretive about something. Once again, I'm really hoping it's not a worst case scenario, but there's obvious discomfort there. Maybe look, usually I might say, hey, he hasn't been playing the outfield for over a month now, so there might be some jitters, if you will. But we're talking about an MVP candidate who's missed plenty of time in the past. It hasn't affected his hitting. It hasn't affected his defense. We've seen it dating back to 2018 when he started dealing with, quote, injury issues, which most have been of the freak variety. So I'm not buying it. I'm buying the fact that, again, the Yankees are hiding something that could be deeper, or they're trying to just limp through the rest of the year to see how far they can get before they have to deal with this in a more significant manner. I don't know if that's going to be minor surgery. I don't know if that's going to be rehab. I don't know if that's going to be major surgery, but clearly if he can't throw the ball to home plate from shallow right field, then something is up, and the Yankees are lying to themselves and they're lying to everybody else.
Yeah, I'm trying to be optimistic here, which again is barely optimism. Like, I'm not going as far as, I think like there's something that has to be addressed with surgery quite yet. It's possible, but I think you're a fool if you don't think he's still battling with it and it won't resolve itself this year, and he's going to have to, at the very least, take some time at the end of the season to just do nothing and to interrupt his routine. Otherwise, it won't resolve itself. Because, it is possible that there's an underlying issue that is going to cause significant strain next season.
Absolutely. It's a flexor strain. It's a precursor to Tommy John surgery for pitchers. So in lesser cases, it's obviously not the same for position players, but it can't be ruled out. You can't just say, oh, no, this is fine. It's not Tommy John. But Yankees also have a problem with position players undergoing Tommy John. And that's another reality that they kind of shake off. And they're, oh, yeah, bad luck. But, man, no, it's a trend, though, so can't all be bad luck.
It can't be ruled out. And at the very least, obviously, he's like, the most generous interpretation is Aaron Judge going, I don't want Tommy John. I don't want this to get worse. Yeah. So, no, I'm going to manage this for the rest of the year because I'm playing through it because I'm Aaron Judge. But did I give it enough time to resolve itself? No, it was like a week and a half off. He was just on the IL and then back to DHing. Like, this is a 6-week injury. We were all told when he suffered it that the timelines the Yankees were giving us were too aggressive and that it wouldn't resolve itself in that amount of time. And it was probably like, I don't know, a month before he went back to playing the outfield. Like, that was also not enough time. And he's putting swing after swing after swing on the issue. So whether we want to go as far as to say like he already has an issue that needs to be surgically repaired or not, I think it's you can battle back and forth on that notion. It's indisputable that he has something that could cause a significant issue and it's not going away this year. And so for better or worse, where we're at is he could take the next month off or he could play looking like this. And Aaron Boone just has to figure out, okay, and then he could start uncorking throws in the playoff because once the lights are turned up that he's going to stop holding it back and he's going to start throwing full steam again. And the question then is, okay, how many of those full steam throws do we have in his right arm before we really have a fucking problem?
We have a pitch count for that. What they use back in the day when they had the little
clicker guys. I mean, I would like to see, I don't know, like an Osmosis Jones with a guy in Aaron Judge's elbow telling me like, okay, it's like pretty bad. He should not be doing this anymore. That would be great if we could get a dude in his bloodstream, but we don't have that. We don't have that. So it's just sort of like all of these little lollipops to Jazz Chisholm are him just sort of trying to tick off the days on the calendar until he can get to the playoffs and surprise someone with the gun. But I don't know, he might surprise himself in a way he doesn't want to as well. Like this all, it's going to suck for the rest of the year, no matter what. So I give Aaron Boone a little bit of grace for having to juggle. Imperfect doesn't even get to, you're either benching one of your best hitters or you're putting a liability out in right field with the legs or a liability out in right field with the arm. There's no good. It's all bad, but this is the hand he's been dealt.
To me, it's, you go with the liability in Stanton because Judge is more valuable and having no arm out there versus limited mobility there's no comparison. Like Stanton has enough outfield experience to get creative with his cutoffs in terms of getting in the ball. So you want to talk about that, but I mean, let's put Osmosis Jones on the Magic School Bus and see what we can get out of this elbow situation. I don't know. That's where this is tough. I don't know what it would have been a lot bigger issue if him not throwing home yesterday resulted in a 1-run loss. We'd be, if they didn't win this series, I'd probably be talking more about how they struck out 26 times, which is almost a full game's worth of strikeouts in this series. So look, concerns remain. Wins matter though. We'll figure out everything else later. All I ask is, don't stop with this nonsensical, like fake communication with the media. You are doing it, Yankees. Like you show that you get annoyed by having the same questions asked over and over again when you don't give answers, which is fine. But then you can't be annoyed when you don't provide the answer and then tell everybody what they've been doing. Oh, what have you been? Where have you been this whole time? I've been standing here asking you questions and you've been visibly getting pissed at me for asking the questions. And now you're telling me that I haven't been paying close enough attention. Like, give me a break. So that's where this is Bush League, because the Yankees at this point should be leaning into the media. They could use the media as their greatest resource, and instead they don't. They make the enemy. They make the media their enemy, and then they're shit like this, where it's just beat writers went after Boone last week when they asked him on Saturday before the start of the Astros series, has there been any consideration of playing Giancarlo Stanton in left field because of the dimensions at Dyken Park? Nope, no plans for that. Monday night, oh, Giancarlo Stanton starting in left field. So what happened? What happened over the course of 2 days that said, oh man, should have thought about this. This ballpark that we go to every year, we go there once or twice a year, has different dimensions that could actually help our outfield situation. So let's maybe make that happened on Monday. No, it didn't. Again, you were trying to like tell the media, oh, like you're trying to get ahead of this and tell me what I'm going to do with my lineup. No, you're not. I'm going to tell you no, and then I'll make the decision with my lineup later, and then we'll try to make you look stupid. But that's not the case, because then you have every beat writer taking the quote from Saturday saying, hey, we asked Aaron Boone this. He said absolutely no plan, and now 48 hours later, this is the new plan. The Yankees do it over and over again. Derek Jeter, again, the formula was here. Derek Jeter handled the media perfectly. I understand it wasn't really the era of social media like it is today. Admittedly, in this day and age, it's very difficult for teams to handle social media, right? Like that fucking Phillies guy, dude. What's his name? Holy shit. Like, imagine if you're the Phillies organization. Like, what do you do? That's the craziest guy I've ever seen on the internet. He's yelling about the team being frauds, and like they win a series and they lose the game in between. So I totally understand, like, there are psychos out there.
Sure.
And there is unchecked. We talked about it with the Jazz tweet, where these people think they could just fucking tweet at players and say whatever they want.
Crazy.
And, oh, yeah, no, it's just me. I'm hanging out on the internet.
I'm just thinking, I'm a random guy. Yeah. Why is anybody going to read what I say? And then the player's like, I didn't like what you said. And the guy's like, oh, God.
Oh, no.
Okay, scared, delete.
We live in a crazy age where anybody has access to subjects that they don't deserve or shouldn't have access to. And everybody's opinion is out there, ours included. Are we a little bit wild sometimes? Sure. But like, this is a fan podcast. The New York Times did not ask me to cover the Yankees objectively and not bring out my emotions. If that was my job, this would be a different job. So yes, there are elements to coverage that are very different. You have the regular journalism, going to the field every night, asking questions, gathering information, writing stories, informing the fan base. You have this level of it where it's fans, elevated takes, writing a lot, multimedia, keeping up with everything, a little bit of a bias angle because we're fans. We love the team. We want what's best for the team. What's the fun in not having a fandom angle if you're a fan and you're looking to digest sports content? And then you have, after that, the dregs of, random Aaron's Judge Enjoyer Twitter account with 7K followers just trolling people. You have Cutter is King and Cole is King and those guys doing whatever they do on the internet. And then you have, a few crazy people doing podcasts, yelling into the void, doing video content where it gets a little bit dicey and you're just like, why does this exist? They shouldn't exist. There shouldn't be this many people following it. It shouldn't have this much recognition on the web. So I do sympathize with that. And I understand that like that wasn't the same age as Derek Jeter coming up, but the New York media has always been tough, dating back for forever. Like it's always been relentless, whether it was just newspapers, whether it was when print was going to digital. It all moved in the direction with the same aggression that it was supposed to. And now obviously we reached the pinnacle of insanity. But at the same time, you would avoid all of the dregs of social media getting louder and louder if you just communicated with the media appropriately, handled the questions correctly, were as candid as you could possibly be, and use them to your advantage in terms of releasing information, in terms of controlling the narrative. And the Yankees don't do that. Again, it's another passive situation that they have where they leave the guessing game up to the reporters, and the reporters are like, hey, just so you guys know, we're playing a guessing game because we keep asking these questions. They're not getting answered. And then the fans are like, why are we playing a guessing game? Shouldn't we know more information about topic X, Y, and Z? This is pretty important. Why are we not getting direct facts, details, timelines, whatever? And that's what's creating this entire thing. It is fully the Yankees' fault. I'll die on that hill. The way that they've handled all of the correspondence ever since Aaron Boone has taken, I'm not saying it's Aaron Boone's fault. I don't know what it is. I mean, the dynamic between Hal Steinbrenner, Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, whatever the trickle-down effect is, it's just bad. It's bad all around. You could just look at, again, Aaron Boone saying what he said on WFAN and then Aaron Judge saying, I don't know what he's talking about. That can't happen, and it does happen. So the fact that there's any finger being pointed at the media, again, outside of the crazy people going on their their Twitter spaces and screaming "F this team, can't believe this guy's an asshole, and I hate this guy's family, and I want to throw myself off a cliff." Like that's the bad media, but that's also happening because the Yankees are allowing it to happen.
Yeah, spreading bad. And we're going to get, if you liked Giancarlo Stanton at Daikin Park in left field, you're going to love whatever happens when we go to Fenway, where left field has a gigundous wall and is like 10 feet in depth, and right field is has a crazy wall, and somehow it's like 300 feet.
Bellinger and right, Grisham center.
And rotate the injured
Judge can't
guys
play
out in
right
left
field.
field.
Judge can't play right field at Fenway if this is how he's feeling, or at least if this is how it looks like he's feeling.
No, it shouldn't happen. But again, he's the one who insists my arm is fine, it's not compromised, and he's the one who insists, ask Boone, ask everybody, and it's Boone who says we're doing creative cuts, we got solutions in place. So yeah, Judge and Stanton shouldn't step foot in right field at Fenway. But will they? Will Judge argue his way into right field at Fenway Park next weekend? We're going to have to wait and see, get the popcorn. And off day has never appeared at a better time, even coming off of a nice series win and a nice series win on the road before that. The Yankees could really use a break, regenerate their bullpen a little bit. They don't get a break between Fenway Park and at Minnesota either. They don't get any breaks for another 13 days.
Yeah.
Fenway, Minnesota, Baltimore. Baltimore gave the Dodgers fits. They are enjoying playing spoiler. That's what's next. Tigers at home. Again, probably no Skubal, but maybe Skubal in the third one. At the very least, you're not going to see him rear his ugly head until the third game of this series. I like Will Warren and Casey Mize in the first game. I like Carlos Rodon, who's got 16 wins and leads the American League, in the second game against Jack Flaherty. We'll see how this goes. The Tigers have surrendered a good portion of their advantage in terms of being the best team in the American League. The Yankees, like they were with the Blue Jays, are now nipping on their heels again and have a little bit of a favorable Monday breather before they got to go back to work. Every bullpen arm should be eligible for that one. The Red Sox are 1-3 without Roman Anthony, but did get saved by Nick Sogard yesterday, delivering a tie-breaking hit. Also, they rallied in the seventh inning, down 3-1, and the first major point of that rally was Trevor Story getting picked off first and then somehow just walking towards second base and never getting tagged despite being picked off, and ended up being safe. Teams do things against the Red Sox they don't do against anybody else in Major League Baseball, and you're going to have to deal with that. But one win against 3 losses since the Anthony injury, which we were like, there's no more indispensable guy. They're obviously still very good, but there's no more indispensable guy on this roster, and that has looked to be accurate so far. They looked a little bit deflated and weird in Arizona against the Diamondbacks team that kind of was just relentlessly punishing their pitching staff. So more confident now than I was a week ago. I don't know if confidence is a dangerous place to be, but at least this time it's backed up by the reality of the Yankees taking the first 2 series here, instead of just backed up by I know they got embarrassed in Houston again, and I know they got swept by the Blue Jays, but I really see no reason they can't win this Tiger series. Now I can at least back it up with the previous 2 series where I was hoping they were going to win the 2 home series, the meat of the sandwich, and I was hoping they were going to survive in the road series at Houston at Fenway. Winning the Houston series is like found money, kind of, but you can't poop your pants in the Blue Jays series after that. It's like found money, but also you need to maintain at least a level of decorum that's acceptable. And then they drop the first game, and the best hope they have is, okay, maybe we win the next 2. They go ahead and win the next 2. They do bounce back. They do shrug off a lot of bad things that happen to them. An umpire who should be fired by the league.
Yeah.
That somehow only got worse in Houston, by the way. Do you know how tough it is to fuck up a game as a third base umpire? That guy tried. That guy sure tried. Couldn't figure out what a line drive was. Or, how about this? Doesn't like Aaron Boone and the Yankees. One of those 2 things.
Possible.
Think about which is more likely, based on the information that we have presented to us. But they overcame that man, and they won a tough, hard-fought baseball game. And the Astros...
They didn't let Altuve screw them, man.
Say what you will about how the game got to the point that it got to, but 8-4 in the 9th, 1 out, Correa coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, and then Christian Walker coming up with the bases loaded as the tying run, Yeah, in a vacuum, the Yankees still probably had like a 77% chance of winning that game, if not maybe 82, because none of the runs had scored yet. But you're sitting at home watching that game going, I don't know, what's the percentage chance they get out of this? 13, 14.
Yeah.
David Bednar made some badass pitches in this game. The 2021 parallels with this team all year, like the tough outcomes against division rivals, bullpen meltdowns, playing poorly in the spotlight games, felt parallel. And they lost a game where they had a 5-run lead in the 9th inning in Houston. And they lost that one with 1 out. They got walked off by Altuve with 1 out. Didn't even get the second one. This felt like that. It would have been the biggest collapse of the year by far. And David Bednar makes huge pitches, huge breaking balls. The one fastball on the inside edge to Correa that he got him to swing and miss at that was going into the upper quadrant. It probably would have been ball 4, but he baited Correa into it. And then the Christian Walker AB was great. So a lot of factors outside their control. The rust Bednar faced in that game, the umpiring crew, the deflating Friday night loss, and they've given us some evidence in the column that, hey, they can work through this. So I still think they win this Tiger series, and I think they can go to Fenway and at least make their presence felt. The last time they went to Fenway, they did not fucking do that. Aaron Judge homered to tie the game off Garrett Crochet, and other than that, they did not appear in the other 27 innings of that series. They just were not there. I don't know how well they're going to do. I do think they are going to make their presence felt and at least make it a game on an individual game basis and then make it a series overall. And I believe that way because of what I just saw. But they're not without their warts. They're not imperfect. No. You just have to be thankful and exhale that 6 of these are already done and they did what they had to do. They can't take that away from us.
Be better tomorrow. That's all. Tigers not great. They have been playing below 500 baseball since July 9th. In case right before the break, they lost 5 in a row. And since that, they lost 4 in a row. And since that point, they've been 4 games below 500. They're still 20 games over. So you look at, again, the Yankees 2.5 month slide, and you're just like, damn it, man. 3-4 of those games go your way that weren't the most egregious losses you've ever seen. And like, you're the 1 seed in the American League. So that's, again, where the frustration comes from. Right now, Tigers bullpen, kind of a mess. Tigers starting rotation, I would also say kind of a mess. They're getting very inconsistent performances outside of Skubal. Tommy Kahnle is doing his classic mid to late season meltdown. He just did it the other day. They just lost the series to the White Sox. So again, Tigers are a good team. They've also lost how many? 1, 2, 3. Forget about they swept the Astros. Damn, okay, pretty good for them. They got swept by the Athletics recently. They lost a series to the Mets. They lost a series to the White Sox. So they got swept by the Pirates earlier or in late July.
Well, everybody gets swept by the Pirates these days.
Apparently, yeah. They lost a series to the Twins. They skated by the White Sox the last time that they played. So it's just a lot of teams are going through this right now. It's the long baseball season. Like you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers and it's like, man, what is going on over there? So yeah, they're part of us. Part of us. We have to be thankful that the Yankees still are not in the doldrums, but you look at the performance around the rest of the league and you wish that things could be a little bit different, but now is the time to capitalize. Tigers not playing great baseball, win 2 out of 3, keep the wagon moving. We'll see what happens in another week or so. Maybe we're closer to the division, but everything's within striking distance. It's up to the Yankees to kind of deliver in the clutch and communicate. Just communicate. Pretty easy.
The worst part, though, is I wish I could say if they did damage in the first 3 series, that the Fenway series just doesn't matter. Unfortunately, it's definitely going to matter. So,
so much.
Yeah, let's see what's up. I'm not going to enjoy a single second next weekend, even if they are winning baseball games. That's how it goes. Thank you for joining us. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. The New York Yankees have 19 regular season games left to go before hopefully the curtain rises on an October run of some kind. And from that moment in time right now till then, whenever that is, however long the run goes and afterwards into the winter, you can count on us at the Yanks Go Yard podcast on YouTube, on your favorite podcast platform. Thomas Carranante, where can the people find you?
At Tommy's _takes, please come on down. At Yanks Go Yard FS is the official Yanks Go Yard social media account. You can find both of us there hanging out. You never know who you're going to get. yanksgoyard.com, the website with all the content. Everything Yankees there, stuff we're not talking about on this podcast, little transactions, rival content, other happenings around the league as it pertains to the Yankees. We appreciate you guys reading. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Tells you when we're going live. Now we're in crunch time. Don't know how the next few weeks are going to shake out. Then we got playoffs. Then we got off season. So the schedule will still remain Monday, Thursday, but we might have to shift things around depending on breaking news or certain happenings. Appreciate you guys as always. We'll see you again on Thursday. And let's go Yanks. Day off today. Handle the Tigers. Get us to Fenway. I mean, I don't want to get to Fenway, but get us there. We'll finish it up and then be done.
I do not want to go to Fenway Park, but I am required to by law, and I hope the New York Yankees win their baseball games there. We will see you on the show, 2 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday afternoon. Until then, take care and go New York Yankees.